Thank you, Rama, for being part of XROM podcast, which is India's first AR/VR MR podcast. Really delighted to have you. So I'm going to give a brief introduction on you. So Rama Krishna Aravind has been the Assistant Director for India's biggest blockbuster film, Bahubali: The Beginning. And later he became the VFX Project Manager for Bahubali: The Conclusion, the second part. And currently he is the founder and creative director for Poco Loco Amusements, which is an XR startup based out of Bangalore. Pleasure to have you, Rama. Thank you for giving time and being part of the show. So Bahubali, let's start with Bahubali. Bahubali was one of the biggest blockbusters coming out of India. What was the learning experience, and why the constant move from the assistant director to the VFX project manager to now founder of Poco Loco Animation?
Like I was always passionate about storytelling, and Bahubali was a great opportunity, definitely. So I started off working as a second assistant director at Harry, so in TV commercials. And then I wanted to work for movies, and I somehow got this opportunity to, work for Bahubali 1 as an assistant director. And then while I was working for Bahubali 1, I had a back issue. I had a slip disc in my back, and then I had to push myself into the post-production or the pre-production jobs. So when I was looking for an opportunity again, since I worked as a VFX follow-up assistant director, they thought some space in the VFX department as a VFX project manager, who's majorly the link between the director's feedbacks and managing videos and all that stuff. So they put me as a VFX project manager in the second part. That was the major reason. Apart from that, I also had self-interest in visual effects and computer graphics and all that stuff. Since my background is into technology, I did a BTech in information technology. I could understand technology better. So I thought, I can learn more. If for a movie like Bahubali, that is the treasure spot, right? You can actually dig as much as possible from there, right?
Right.
That's how.
Right. So from VFX to virtual reality, what has been the transition? What drove you over there? And talk a little bit about India's virtual reality scene, because I know that A.R. Rahman had done a VR film called Le Masque, which has not seen the light of the day. There was earlier this horror film called Phobia had like a VR edit. Meraki, which is a virtual reality content startup, they've been part of the Phobia edit, and they've been doing some stuff. Amir Khan's movie Dangal had a VR edit, but overall things have been very slow. Nothing has been like pushed up front. So what do you think of the virtual reality scene in the media and entertainment space?
No, the major problem with our country is that we try to pursue things individually. Like Eddie in Bombay will start pursuing things. And me in Bangalore, I'm doing it myself. And we don't come together to form an ecosystem, build that kind of a friendly atmosphere for each and every one of us to grow together, or just communicate and share thoughts so that, there's something happening. And thanks to you that because you are actually creating that kind of building that good ecosystem for to make everyone understand where the industry is moving forward and all that stuff. That's the reason even though individuals are pursuing things, they are facing all the challenges individually, and if they fail, they think that's the whole story about the scenario in India. But when it comes to the rest of the countries outside the country, in like US or in Canada or even in Australia, they always build the ecosystem first, and then they push towards understand what are the challenges for each and everyone, how things are moving in enterprise industry, or how things are moving in education, and then they categorized come down to entertainment as well, which will really help help as a whole, right? Right now, I think, yeah, that's the reason it is slow in India. Apart from that, now the major breakthrough is Reliance getting into this AR
GeoGlass.
industry. Yeah, they are releasing GeoGlass, which will make everyone familiar about AR VR, obviously, because if such a big company comes into the industry and they release something, and also we have the COVID situation, right? So I'm thinking that GeoGlass will take a major, major hit for the education, because it won't be tough for them to convince private educational institutes to use GeoGlass. So once they get GeoGlass being used by the students, everyone will be familiar with the technology, and that's when once people adopt the technology and get familiar with the technology, it's easier for us to bring in entertainment.
Yeah, right. I think Rama, you rightfully pointed out that the nature of us working in silos has been the drawback of adoption of this technology. This technology definitely is transformational. It's such a nascent stage, and its potential, it's humongous. But yes, I mean, I would largely agree that the way we work, us working in silos, has led to this situation where it's still not grown as has not been mass adopted. I for one, I realized this in 2016, because I got into virtual reality early in 2016. I shot, directed, and produced India's first stereoscopic VR or short film. Now, after doing that, I realized that, I did something which was shiny. I put in a lot of funds, but the business was not sustainable. There was no way I could take that business forward. And then I realized what was lacking was an ecosystem. So that's the reason I started building an ecosystem. I put together Immersion, which is India's first VR film festival and conference. I put together XRO news platform. I put together this podcast, and now I'm putting together XR Bazaar, which is going to be solving the accessibility problem of acquiring hardware. Because in India, for startups or anybody, I mean, the problem is, if you need a VR headset or camera, you are stuck because you are paying 2 or 3 times more money, which then compared to US, right? Because there's logistics problem, there's customs and things like that. So XR Bazaar is trying to sort that out, and we wish to launch August mid or something like that, where we will try and keep the price point as competitive as possible, and not be the scamsters on these various platforms who are charging 2 or 3 times more. So yes, I think the ecosystem is the most important thing. And you also pointed out the GeoGlass is getting into this, and Geo being one of those companies which I think has transformed India when it comes to internet and connectivity. At one point in time, most of the telecom industry was charging a bomb for internet, and then suddenly comes in Geo, and they have changed the dynamics of it. Thanks to Geo, I think close to 500 or 600 million people in the country are connected to internet, whether it's from the urban or the rural sector. And yes, COVID I think could be one of those factors which could kind of possibly drive the digital transformation conversation ahead, because all of these technologies which has been on a creeping mechanism has suddenly got a push because of COVID, and suddenly people have opened up the eyes and realized the importance of technology and what it can do to all your industries. You pointed out of education and so on and so forth. So yes. So how do you think from here onwards? How do you view AR VR growing, and which industry sectors are going to be most impacted? And after that, maybe we'll get into your startup.
See, initially, enterprise and education is the place AR will come into. Now, VR has a problem. We'll talk about the problems that we are facing with VR separately, but I'm sure AR will get into the market so easily. And people will be able to adopt AR and understand AR easily, because VR is we have VR since 1995, right? But still people are not familiar with VR. But when you ask someone about AR, they say, "Oh, maybe." Even the layman, if you ask about AR, they will say, I did try AR shopping, or I saw some videos about how to get that real virtual thing using your mobile camera and all that stuff. So it is easily going into the layman or the common crowd. who need not understand the technology, or he need not face much challenge to adopt the technology. My bet is on AR, and I am thinking it will go. The dependency is in education. Education might adopt AR as a medium for teaching, as well as enterprise training industry. These are the areas where AR will come, and then slowly that will lead us to understand how we can use it for the entertainment much better.
With VR, obviously, you said there are problems. With AR, we already have the devices, the phones, and we can experience content like we experience content in a real life. And obviously, it has been benefiting the education industry and enterprise. And I hope that there's, because of COVID, there is a push, and there's a larger adoption which happens because of, for augmented reality. So let's talk about the problems. Virtual reality. I see a few problems, but yeah, please go ahead. Let me point out the problems with virtual reality.
No, if I have to talk about entertainment through virtual reality, see, when it comes to entertainment, everything related to the experience is very important. Every subtle, every minute detail of your experience is very important for us to give the best experience to the user. If you close your eyes and then say if I tell you to move your hand from left to right, you would be easily in the space. My body moved from this space.
Right.
Even when I tell you to, when I take you into a room and then I say close your eyes and go to the right corner, if there's no obstacle in between, you will be easily going to the right. So you don't need your brain doesn't need your visual system,
right?
To sense the environment. This is called proprioception and kinesthesia. Right. Okay. So we have the nervous system and the muscles work together to give the brain certain understanding about the environment and the body's position in the environment.
Right.
Understand? So that we balance our body as well. Now, this is a set of information which happens subconsciously in the brain, okay? Without you having control over it. It constantly gives information. The moment you put on a headset and you're closing the visual system, the brain automatically gets into a defensive mode. You can watch anything you want to, but it keeps giving you this information about which position you are in the space, and are you good with the balance or not. It happens subconsciously, constantly. Right. Now you're watching something, the visual system is giving you a different information about the world, while your proprioceptive sensors are giving you a different information of the real world, right?
Right.
A slight conflict happening inside your brain, which is giving you some kind of uncomfortable experience. So after 20 minutes, you feel tired. This is the same experience that will happen. See, if your proprioception is good, actually your concentration will be really nice.
Right.
We develop that in our childhood. We'll start rocking our chairs when we are kids while we're trying to listen to the teacher, right, in the classroom. That's because you're actually activating your proprioception. It's nothing but you're trying to move forward, and you'll try to chew and all that stuff that's happening as a toddler. After toddler is basically training your brain about this sensory system. So that's the same thing happening if you're with the VR. When you're wearing a VR headset, there is this conflict of information and this uncomfortable feeling wearing the headset and watching, because entertainment is about 1 hour long, 2 hour long experiences.
Right.
So when you're having a 1 hour long, 2 hour long experience, then there's this problem. But the same thing is helping in certain areas, like you must have be familiar with that plank game of VR.
Richie's plank.
Yeah. People will be people get rid of their fear of heights because of that experience. Because you know why that's happening? Because the real world is telling you that you're in a safe environment.
Right.
Our brain is telling us that you're in a safe environment, even though you're wearing a VR headset. Right. That's the reason they're able to take that experience and overcome the fear of heights. But actually, if the same person goes to a real natural height, I don't think so. It would feel better.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I mean, you pointed out towards, virtual reality, the drawbacks with it, it being an isolating experience. Obviously, it's got a problem. I mean, but the technology is in such a nascent stage. I do understand that it has these drawbacks, but even currently, you have these see-through VR headsets, where you can actually not just, you're not isolated. You can see and experience, and this is. I, for one, when I got into virtual reality, the reason I was so excited because I knew the potential of this technology. Currently, yes, we have these drawbacks. The headsets are bulky. The price points are too much. It has issues like you mentioned, stuff like that. But I believe that in another 5 to 10 years, I think all of those major problems will start disappearing, and maybe we'll have something as light as maybe this. But yes. As somebody who is vested in immersive tech, I think augmented reality is the way to go at this point in time, because there are already real life problems which you can solve, and some of the best startups doing that and adopting AR. So walk me through your journey from your Bahubali days to a founder of Poco Loco. Why Poco Loco, and what is Poco Loco Amusement?
When I was working for Bahubali 2, thanks to my supervisor Kamal Kanan and his son Avinash Kamal Kanan, they both actually made me aware of a lot of technology, and I started becoming very curious about AR, VR, AI, and how we can incorporate these things into this filmmaking process or the storytelling process. And when I was traveling in 2018, I was traveling and I was meeting a lot of people in the AR/VR industry in various countries. I saw this space, this opportunity where I visited these amusement parks, basically, especially the Disney World and the Universal Studios amusement parks in
right.
LA and Florida, and they were using very sophisticated 3D technology to give you an experience. The experience is brilliant. Okay, you are in middle of a Transformers fight. You're flying a dragon in Avatar world. These kind of experiences were happening, but they were using. See, once you get into the park, you can take the ride any number of times as long as the ride is free and the queue is small. So I was constantly taking the rides about 10 times, 20 times the whole day, to understand what they were doing, and they were using so much of mechanics. The screen is moving, your simulator is moving at the same time. There's 100 different effects happening for a very small 10-minute experience.
Right.
Just a 10-minute experience. They were taking this much of effort. And when I was introduced with AR and VR and these kind of technologies, I said, why can't we integrate these technologies and cut down the cost, cut down the time, and give them more ability to do more experience, not just 10 minutes experience. You can put them in the storyline constantly. Like, imagine you being in the world of cinema, you playing a character of a detective, and you're constantly coming into place and solving more and more mysteries, right? Is this possible? This is what I was thinking of, and after certain amount of research, I said, yes, it is possible. You can integrate AR, VR together, and then use a little bit of machine learning, and anyways, everything is moving towards the cloud, so you don't need to worry about the data. I thought, yes, this is possible, and that's how I started Poco Loco Amusements.
Lovely. Yes. So I think, with AR, VR, MR, immersive technology, I think it opens up these new possibilities. With Netflix, Black Mirror had tried that interactive storytelling. I'm forgetting the name of the last episode. But anyway, so people are building these interactive content. There are friends I know who are incorporating artificial intelligence in storytelling. Which the storytelling branches out in different narratives depending upon a user. There are people who are exploring virtual reality in immersive theater. So they're really pushing the boundaries. There is this volumetric which is opening up, this haptic feedback. So technology, I think, is enabling us from being passive viewers to to the next evolution, and making us jump from being passive viewer to be in participant, active participant of the content. So I'm super excited about that. So would you like to talk a little bit more about what you're building? And you gave me just a glimpse of the possibility. So what is Poco Loco doing with the LBVRE space or the storytelling side?
We are integrating AR, VR, and AI together to create the experience I was talking about. But how we are doing it is basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give the user the access of virtual world without he having to wear this VR headset. So my my tool here is I'm giving him a see-through headset, like the one we are wearing right now,
right.
like HoloLens or Magic Leap, see-through headset where he's able to watch the real world as well. And then I'm taking him into a room scale environment, into a room where all of the entire walls of the room, all the 5 walls, top, bottom, sides, and your front, is projected with 360 degrees videos, 360 degree access to the virtual world. You understand, right?
So is this like a dome kind of thing, or it's just?
I mean, as a prototype, we are starting it with like a square room, and we will work on better visuals depending upon how our natural vision is shaped and to get the best. Right now, it's a room scale environment with a square shape, and the best part here is usually you have KVR previously from 96 and the KVR. So you walk around and the video shifts according to your perspective. So you feel like you're wearing a headset, but you're actually not wearing a headset, but you're having the 360 degree view. So what we are trying to do here is the next step of this is, if a person is walking towards you from the virtual world, after he arrives at a point where the screen, he's hitting the screen, like in the sense like he's as the screen is to you. And if he's walking further towards you, he should walk from outside the screen, right? He should come out of the screen.
Exactly.
Right. So at that point of time, we shift the display to the AR variable which you're wearing of this particular object, of this particular person. So it appears as if like, he's just It's so seamless that it feels like you have just wearing a,
Interesting.
Glass. Right. So it gives you access to the virtual world, and then you wear a wearable where if you just tap your fingers, you're walking in the space. Or we are trying to use the treadmills, the VR treadmills for the same system. If you want to walk around, you walk around. If you have a weapon in your hand, then you're walking around and shooting people, and they are shooting you. It's all real. It's just real world. Yes, you getting it?
Right. Yeah. So super interesting. Sounds exciting. I think this is where the future of theater, future of filmmaking, future of storytelling, would definitely go towards that, because you're taking experience and weaving it with storytelling. So that is definitely the future. But what has been the challenges of building it, and how do you do that? I mean, because supposing what if you have like 2 or 3 people experiencing it at the same time? So are there treadmills? Are they synced with the visual? How does it work?
So multiple players is not an issue, but the problem here is the technology is not yet ready, because if you take any AR, VR variable, sorry, VR, not VR, AR, MR variables, their field of view is pretty less right now, right?
Right.
Just 40 degrees by 110, these below. Whereas our natural vision is like more than 210 horizontally and 180 vertically, right? We need such kind of variables to come. So instead of going for variables, we are trying to implement with mobile phones. so that we have this cardboard variable, cardboard thing, and put a mobile phone and implement, because we are running things using the cloud. So if you run the game engine inside the cloud and use these projectors or the variables as input-output device alone, we are not using its computing power, but rather using it as a display unit or a unit to take in input parameters.
Right.
You're getting it.
Right.
If we are using it as like that, it's still at a stage where we would not be able to fully implement our vision, right? But what we are pushing towards is it's not impossible, but it's like, once when computers came into existence, the booting was very slow.
Right.
It used to take about 1-2 minutes for them to boot, and then over the years we improved, and now if you switch on a Apple Mac, it'll boot like a TV, right?
Exactly. So
these are the problems, and we'll get better with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you said the tech is not ready, what do you see as the challenges? Is it the bandwidth the problem? Would 5G be one of the solutions? Would better hardware be a part of the something which could ease your problem? So where do you see the major problems, and what do you think can or should be done to solve these problems?
Yeah, 5G definitely will help, because once we have 5G and all, because everything here, so much of data needs to be streamed, and it should be very seamless, that there shouldn't be any glitches, right?
Right.
The display should happen so nicely that you don't have to feel like the computing is happening somewhere in the cloud, and we are waiting for the data to download and be displayed. So 5G internet is a major, it plays a major role, as well as not only in terms of implementing the vision, also in terms of expanding it to multiplayer, for people to actually access the same game from different locations.
Right, that would be interesting.
Yeah, like Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to implement such kind of things, then internet will be a major player. And there was this device called Bridge, occipital bridge. If you heard of it, it was a VR device with a structure sensor. They released a VR headset with a structure sensor. They released it long back, like in 2017 itself. And they were using it for real estate. They were using it for scanning the room and then inputting it into the device, so that you can, while you're experiencing the VR, you can also, the device will sense the real environment, so that you don't hit a vehicle.
Right.
That's how they were using it. But they also had an AR feature where all this, what you call them, occlusions, object occlusions, virtual characters are also detected, so that you don't, if there is a table in between you and the virtual character, then the table is appearing, so that virtual character appears behind the table,
right,
or behind the real world object. Right. So these kind of things, we are still not at this phase of the this phase where all of this is happening so simply, which is easily accessible, right? If we are at that stage, and I think that will really help.
So as a startup, are you bootstrapped? Are you funded? Do you have partners? Are you talking to partners here in India and abroad? Where does the current, what's the current stage of the startup, and what's the future plan of Poco Loco?
Yeah, to be frank, we are too early into the market. Too early. We started off with the idea a little early, but that helped us to, with the patent, basically we filed it very early, and we did a priority search, and we realized that nowhere in the world there's a patent on this particular idea of how we are integrating AR and VR with that access to the virtual world. So so initially our idea was to set up a headquarter in Vancouver and then push it from there to US, and we were planning to get into the market with a XR escape room kind of an experience.
Right.
Actually this year March or something of that sort. But we didn't go with that plan, luckily. The challenge was initially when we were going and pitching it to the angel investors. Angel investors were asking huge equity for the funds they were investing, because it was in the prototype stage, right?
Right.
So we didn't want to give away huge chunks of equity and then be worried about it later when we need to go to these Series B. We don't have any equity to give, right? So that's the reason we said, let's go pitch the idea to clients directly, big clients, and then let's implement the project at the client's location. And when we have the project, the product in the market being used by people, we also get feedback. We can improve the product. At the same time, we can run the company, and this will give us a better pitch. Go to the investor. The investor will be also confident that looking at the product and the experience, right? And that's how we thought that the bargain can be more solid, and we don't need to give away bigger equity. So we had couple of projects happening in talks. One of the project is we are trying to create an interactive digital maze for a museum in Bangalore.
Right.
And it's again giving access to the virtual world, walking into a very surrealistic world where the rules of that world is different from the real world. You can see upside down buildings, or it can be anything like Inception.
Right.
Like in a mirror maze where you're confused how to get out, find the way, you'll be confused and you have to interact and find your way out. That's the kind of experience we're trying to give.
Right.
Apart from that, the other interesting part is we are creating this customer care experience for the same museum. We are still pitching this ideas to them. So customer care experience where there'll be a digital avatar in a screen where you talk to the digital avatar. It'll really talk to you like a person. There's no it's not like a chat box.
Right.
How chat box are implemented. It's not like that. It'll talk to you like that. And it can see you also, and it can actually point out if your kid is like touching something,
right?
Which
interesting.
It'll point out, say you shouldn't do that. So it'll make you feel like it's a real human out there talking to you.
Right. Interesting. Sound interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yes, I think that the future of these technologies, immersive technologies, looks exciting. The location-based virtual reality entertainment centers, they were, I think, just in 2019, they were the only, I think, business in the AR VR space which was making the most noise. What I mean by more noise is the investors were readily investing in them, and they were raking in the moolah, right from your Void to, so many other of these startups. But LBVRE has been disrupted. Now, I'm sure there are these startups like Cleanbox Technology, which has come with these boxes where you can disinfect your VR headsets and things like that. But still, that is a problem, and I think we need to overcome these minor roadblocks. But I think we, as entrepreneurs, I think we are resilient. and we will always find way through this, because I think some of the smartest entrepreneurs around the world are sitting at home scratching their head and trying to figure out how they can solve this problem, and you pointed out in the beginning that instead of working in silos, if we all come together, which I think COVID has forced us as the world to come, we have all come together. But I think if we make that extra effort, I think we can come back to normal faster, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I personally see. So you had also said that your platform, you're making a web XR platform. So would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. See, that's
and are we ready? Is the web XR ready at this point in time?
No, definitely, it's out there. WebXR is happening, and it has limited capabilities. But with whatever limited capabilities it has, we're still able to perform, right? So we should start off doing things with the limited capabilities, and
right.
once you get into the market, it obviously start expanding, because in the WebXR space, you have Amazon, you have Microsoft. Everyone is there in the WebXR space. So if they find good applications happening in the WebXR space, they would come down, take the technology to any level to provide you, the capabilities of it. So when it comes to hygiene in terms of COVID situation, see, if you are actually giving them an experience where they can use their own mobile phone, just put it in a cardboard, use and throw cardboard, and wear that, and then with that mobile phone, you're able to take the experience. That's the best solution you're giving them, right? So when I was talking about the interactive digital maze, that's our plan. Basically, we'll try to implement it in using AWS, Amazon Web Services, and so that you can just download. It's just a link that you have to access. It's not even an app that you have to download and install or something. It's just a web link. You just click that link, and then you go access the application, and then throw the cardboards once the card you finish using the experience. And it's and we don't let obviously it's an environment set, and then the set is extended using the digital extensions. So you don't let 3 or 4 people getting into the set. Instead, you have one guy going and taking the experience, and then the next guy goes after 10 minutes. You maintain these kind of things which will assure the users their safety, and we can still go on with the COVID situation. It'll actually help us to do better.
Right. So
COVID situation, then individuals wouldn't want to try these experiences.
Right. Yeah. So I for one, am super excited about AR/VR. That's the reason I've invested in the space, and I believe that I think in another couple of years, I think maybe because of COVID, maybe much sooner, I think AR/VR definitely is going to be mass adopted. I think it's I believe that your computer and your mobile phone is going to converge into one wearable device, and I see that happening in possibly another 5 years. So I personally am super excited about AR/VR. So any last words to our listener, and what's your future vision, future goal?
Future vision. I would like to. Since we are actually on a Zoom call at studio, I would like to show you some stuff. I thought
Please.
I'll show you. So this is how it looks like in the room scale environment. You're on a simulator, so you would be watching the dragon in front of you in the AR wearable, and the entire world is the virtual world is being displayed on the projection system.
Right.
So flying through the skies, and it'll be brilliant. That's one way of doing it. And the other thing I wanted to also show you is this thing, my prototype. I think you saw, I shared you my prototype, but let's show it for the participants basically. The foreground, the character is being displayed in the mobile camera here, okay?
Right.
And there is voice recognition through the mobile phone, and you can give him commands.
Right.
And the scene transition after he talks. Okay. So the problem here is, if you see, once of course, there's so much that you need to do. This is just a baby step, but you're able to get the idea, right? You can give voice commands to virtual characters and scene transitions, and you can merge the AR display and the VR display together to give you access to the virtual world. That's the whole essence of this prototype. And technical prototypes won't be very fascinating. With the visuals will just be enough for us to implement what we need to implement.
Exactly.
But the major problem was, like, he was taking so much time to respond, and there was a huge lag in his response, and that's coming because of our slow internet speeds and slow computing processes.
Right.
If these things can be solved slowly, I think there's no boundaries for our imagination.
Right, exactly. I think we're living in a fantastic world, and I think technology is gonna make the impossible possible. And that's the reason I have my other show called Change I Am Possible, where I talk about future technology and how it's gonna impact humanity. So I guess we're living in fantastic times. Rama, wish you the very best. Really appreciate you being part of XRM podcast. I wish you the very best for Poco Loco, and I think the AR VR space. The entire ecosystem is in a fantastic space, and it's growing. And this COVID-19, which was a natural disaster, I think it's got a very positive side of it. Though the negative side has impacted the country unimaginably. Especially the low middle class, SMEs. But if you see the positive side, I mean, we finally seeing a better environment, lesser cars on the road. We seeing that people are trying to spend more time at home, building more relationships, and the emission through the fossil fuel vehicles are lessened. So and plus, I think, they've understood that you can actually be more productive from home. So there are so many positives, and finally, I think the larger population have realized the importance of technology, and most of the businesses are now finally talking about digital transformation. Education is talking about education innovation. I think AR, VR, MR will play a big role, and so in entertainment business, because the entertainment business has been impacted. People are not going to be going to theater for some time, but I hope that people go out soon. But yes, AR, VR could be one of those for the solutions to this. So really appreciate you being part of XRM podcast. And to my listeners, if you like what you see and hear, please press the subscribe button. Like always, I'm going to leave behind all the details of Mr. Rama down below, so that you can interact, engage and collaborate. Because like Rama pointed out, what needs to be done to grow the ecosystem. If the ecosystem grows, we'll have a sustainable business. So thank you, Rama. Really appreciate you being part of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.